take your time.
Okay.
Take your time. Everybody has a goal for you, but it's your goal that really matters.
This is a journey.
Let me take you on a journey.
There will still be the journey.
The journey.
New sheriff in town, and his name is
The journey.
Journey.
This thing is bigger than Nino Brown. This is
The journey.
The journey.
What is it that moved you?
The journey. The journey. The journey. The journey.
The Journey Initiative is being generously supported by TVA, the Tennessee Valley Authority.
Welcome to another episode of The Journey. I'm your host, Larry Robinson, and today I think we have another barn burner, and I think it's someone that you will really enjoy their story. But first, we got to start with our quote. And today our quote is, "Don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds you plant." That's from Robert Louis Stevenson, an author. But what that means to me is, it's not about, what you're getting, but more about what you're giving. And so if I'm planting seeds, I'm thinking about this brother that's the guest today. Planting seeds daily at a high school level as an athletic trainer. 15 plus years in sports medicine and training. Proud member of Omega Psi Phi. We won't hold that against him. Committed father and husband. Welcome, Mr. Thaddeus Avery II. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, sir. How are you?
Cool. So tell me a little bit about where you're from. Tell me a little bit about the community you were raised.
Okay. Like you said, I'm a native Memphian.
Okay.
Native Memphian from the good old north side of the city.
North side.
North, N-O-R-F. You got to make sure you say it correctly,
Right.
N-O-R-F. Was fortunate enough to grow up in a household with both parents.
Okay.
Good family scenario. Actually lived right across the street from Cypress High School.
Okay.
So to literally say we were ingrained in the dead center of the North, we can definitely smile about that part.
Well, outside of your parents, who had the biggest impact on the young Thad?
It had to be, if it wasn't the parents, it was definitely the church.
Okay.
My parents kept me ingrained in church. They kept that entire principle at all time. That still exists today.
Okay.
To where when we have a conversation with other people, that's still something that we're going to talk about.
Okay.
And also the community. Okay. Surprisingly, as much as we have a negative aspect about Memphis and the North, there's definitely a lot of people who do care about the future.
Okay.
And about people that they want to see succeed.
I hear you. Okay, so give me a decision that you made as a young person that you might not have known then how impactful it was going to be on your life. But looking back, you're like, man, that was a really pivotal decision I made.
Well, no, this one was a pretty obvious one. It was a pretty obvious one. Fortunately, like I said, I had good parents that kept their foot on my neck when it needed to be. Okay. But just like everybody else, we get curious and mischievous.
Right.
So I had one or two friends that were not appropriate. We'll use that word for safety purposes. They weren't appropriate. Okay. And they elected one day, we had been friends 5-10 plus years, and decided that they wanted to go do something a little bit more curious. Okay. And I say curious to really say what happened was they decided they were going to go rob a store.
Wow.
Decided they were going to go rob a store. I was originally with them after some simple thinking and logical thoughts to myself and one other friend. We elected to walk away and said, we're not going to do it. Which definitely ended up being life-altering because that one incident actually cost them their life.
Wow.
It actually cost them their life that day. So,
that little voice that
little voice that just said, hey, you don't need to do this, actually is the reason I'm still alive. So it's a fortunate thing.
Good deal. Got a little game I want to play with you.
All right.
Word association.
Okay.
So I'm going to say about two, let's do 3 words and let me see what you think of and what's the first words that come to your mind.
Okay.
Commitment.
Focus.
Okay. Youth.
Happiness.
Okay. All right. Trial.
Success.
All right.
Success.
All right. So we get a little window into Brother Thaddeus Avery II. So as a young person, you're dreaming. You're dreaming of, my thing was I wanted to be a basketball player, NBA. One point I wanted to be a doctor, and I always saw myself in those roles as a kid. Mm-hmm. How different are you from the dreams of your childhood?
Oh, I'm completely different.
In what way?
I used to have a big love of fireworks.
Oh, really?
I used to love fireworks. So my dream was I wanted to be
pyromaniac.
Look, small amount. So I wanted to originally be an aerospace engineer.
Okay.
I wanted to build planes and bombs. I thought it was just cool of an idea that, hey, if it goes boom, I'm watching it.
I hear you.
I'm watching it. I wanted to be that guy. And now here I am in the healthcare department taking care of things that deal with the boom and the bomb that I didn't create.
Right.
So if you want to say I'm on the complete opposite side of the spectrum as far as that's concerned.
Okay. All right. What's your why? Why do you get up every day and fight the good fight?
The why? That's really a good question. The first one is, like you said, being a married father. I've got 2 young ladies that are looking forward to me setting them up for success as well.
Okay.
The other why is I've been fortunate most of my life that I've had people that believed in me, that put me in the best successful situations possible.
Okay.
That if I did not return that favor to the future, then I'm doing a disservice to not only myself, but their legacy and the legacies that could be created in the near future.
Who's someone outside of your immediate family that would be hurt if you decided not to fulfill your purpose and destiny?
Oh boy, you could name a gauntlet of people that would
one
be
that
upset.
Comes to mind immediately?
The first one I'm going to put him on the spot just because I know he doesn't know it, and I'll go with Glenn Sessoms. Glenn Sessoms being a man that I met right at about 10 years ago, and he has been one that really believes in the fact that I am the future and that I am the young man that should be able to help lead into the future, because he put something in me, and I believe that he feels that I should be able to put something into the next generation.
Okay. When did you know you were going to be okay? When were you able to look in the mirror and say, you know what, I can do this. I got this.
Besides my life-altering situation that we talked about earlier, to be able to go to college and be the first of my family to be in that position.
Wow.
So I realized.
How many siblings?
I've got one younger brother.
One younger brother. Okay.
So I was fortunate to realize that I'm being put in a situation that there's a lot of my family that didn't get that opportunity.
Right.
And to know that you can go to college, receive a full ride scholarship, and you don't have to pay for anything. The only thing you do is show up. I realized I was going to be okay.
Oh, okay.
It was a pretty good setup at that point.
Okay. Thaddeus, most black men have a moment where they can remember when it became obvious to them that they were a black man.
Absolutely.
Is there something in your life where you can point to where you like, yeah, I know now?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I can easily recall 2.
Well, hold on for a second.
Okay.
Listen, this is the journey. We're going to come back with Thaddeus Avery II's answer. And we're going to talk about a few more things, so you stay right there. We'll be right back on The Journey on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Check out all your KUDZUKIAN favorites now.
Welcome back to The Journey. I'm your host, Larry Robinson. And today we're talking with Thaddeus Avery II, sports athletic trainer extraordinaire. Thaddeus, before we left, we asked about the time you realized you were a black man. Can you elaborate?
Absolutely. I can think of 2 simple yet very, very pronounced situations.
Wow.
As a young man, we're talking 10 years old, walking into a store to buy some candy.
Okay.
A police officer walked up behind me and said, and I quote, what are you doing with that, boy? You don't need that. You need to get out of this store. Definitely an eye-opening experience for a kid to be under 10 years old, to go home and talk to parents about it and realize, I'm a black man.
Wow.
This is a different world.
Wow.
Then we can fast forward into my adulthood as a student traveling from Memphis to the University of Arkansas. I was pulled over on the side because I had all of my clothing, my electronics, things of that as I was moving into my new apartment. Police officer pulled me over and inquired as to why I had all of this stuff. What do you need all of this stuff for? Where are you going? Why are you transporting it this way? Are you sure you're supposed to have all of this? Let me see your license. Let me see your ID. Let me see your registration. Supposedly my truck at that point had been transferred, that the tags were to a Mercedes-Benz. So they were trying to say that I had stolen my tags. When in actuality, I was able to provide all the appropriate documents necessary to validate that I was who I was and my vehicle was my vehicle.
Wow.
So I've gotten two of those very humbling yet real experiences.
When you think back on those moments, what does it do to you? Where did your mind go?
First off, it'll put you in a level of frustration. Puts you in a level of frustration because it makes you wonder, what did I do wrong? Was I really targeted because of my skin? Because obviously there's nothing, or at least in my perception, that I've done that should have been questioned to that level. After frustration obviously becomes anger, but because there's nothing you really can do. You've got to unfortunately sit there and endure the moment. So that would definitely be the first two emotions that would come out.
Okay. So let's rewind. Let's rewind all the way back to North Memphis.
Okay.
Family, your younger siblings. Tell us about the household. Dad, mom. Tell us a little bit about them.
Okay. Had a mom that was a teacher. So I had somebody to keep me. She taught at Humes for a while.
Oh, wow.
And then spent 20 plus years at Hamilton Middle School.
Okay. All right.
So definitely had a teacher for a mom that kept books in our face, kept us busy, kept us occupied. Had a father that worked several different jobs. His biggest two jobs were working for Thompson and Formby.
Okay. What's that?
They used to do paints and paint thinners, things of that nature. Water seals.
Okay, gotcha.
All of that stuff. And he also worked for Stroh's Brewery at that time, when we used to have the brewery here in the city. So had the blue-collar father that didn't mind going out and doing what needed to be done. Had the mother with the education that was willing to teach you what needed to be done.
What's some of your fondest memories of childhood?
Oh, God. The biggest fun one was always getting to travel out of town.
Really?
My parents always made it their business to travel us out of town. Got introduced to HBCUs at a young age. Got an opportunity to attend Langston University's homecoming every year for about maybe 10 years straight.
Wow.
So it was an opportunity to see the
Langston, Missouri or Pennsylvania?
Langston, Oklahoma. Langston, Oklahoma. So got an opportunity to learn, appreciate, respect, and love the HBU's experience to the point that when I went to undergrad, I went to Tennessee State University. So proud product of an HBCU.
All right. Okay, so let me think about it. Well, let me ask you to think about one of the worst moments of your childhood.
Definitely the worst would have to be the experience where I lost a friend. And then just the ideal of, like you kind of alluded to earlier, the ideal of realizing that being a black man is different. It's definitely something that, as much as we don't see it or we didn't see it then, it's definitely something that's worth the conversation now.
I would say my parents did a fantastic job of kind of shielding me from having to deal with a lot of those things at an early age. But unlike you were still pretty young. I didn't deal with it till high school. So that always was an impactful moment, and a moment that's kind of burned and sketched in my brain. You know? So teen years. Tell me about your teen years. Where'd you go to middle school and then high school and whatnot?
Okay, well, went to Hamilton Middle School, of course, because you had to have somebody to keep eyes on you. They know when the cat's away, the mice will play. So mom definitely made sure she kept me grounded, kept me in order, did what need to. Left there and went to Bellevue Junior High for a year.
Okay.
And then went on to Central for high school.
Bobcat.
Went from Bobcat to a Warrior. So
Okay. All right. Adulthood, you mentioned wife, kids.
Mm-hmm.
What was that transition like going from undergrad to this stuff is real out here?
Mm-hmm. The transition from undergrad to grad was a very, very humbling reality check.
Why humbling?
Because going from Tennessee State University, where the ratio is, at that time, maybe 11-to-1 girls to guys,
right,
to transitioning to going to graduate school at the University of Arkansas, where the true ratio might be 11-to-1 white to black.
Wow.
So it was definitely a reality where you had to learn how to be a little bit more versatile.
Right.
Conversations obviously changed because some of the things that you and I can have a conversation about, we obviously couldn't discuss that with our white counterparts.
Right.
So there was a point that was that, hey, we really got to learn some adaptability, some ingenuity, some creativity in our conversation, our navigations around some of the things that we may do and or say. Then after that, we come into the life of marriage and children.
Right.
And anybody that's been married knows that's a whole nother topic in itself.
So tell me about your wife and kids, man.
I'm very proud to be married to a lovely young lady named Tiffany.
Okay.
Who was a product of Memphis as well.
Okay.
I'm excited. Hey, honey, I'm just going to be that guy to brag that she's a recent graduate of Christian Brothers University where she got her bachelor's.
Okay.
So I'm excited that we can promote the ideal of education to our children.
Right.
I currently have 2 children. One's a 12-year-old daughter named Tamira.
Okay.
And then I have a 3-year-old daughter named Tia.
Okay, brother, you must have been heck on women, bro. You got 2 daughters.
I hope not. I hope that I hope karma isn't as serious as it could be. We're going to definitely hope that.
All right. Well, let me see. You're an athletic trainer, sports trainer.
Correct.
Why that area of athletic training or being in physical therapy?
Right. Well, it started when I tell you I wanted to be an aerospace engineer.
Right.
Walked into Tennessee State University, and the very first day I went to class, the professor said, hey, you see this computer in front of you? You're going to spend 14 hours a day in front of this computer learning what you need to learn to do what you got to do.
Right.
I politely got up and walked out of the classroom.
For me.
At that time, technology was not my dream. It wasn't what I wanted to do.
Okay.
When I saw that computer work, I said, all right, this ain't going to cut it.
Right.
Transitioned over to health and physical education.
Okay.
With my mom being an educator, she taught physical education.
Okay.
It's thought to be an easy transition.
Right.
Being a former high school athlete, thinking I was going to have the dream of everybody going to the NFL, but wasn't good enough to even get close.
Right.
Went to education, and that's how we found our way to getting that first degree, as well as starting working in the athletic training room.
Okay.
Where the head athletic trainer at that time, whose name was Monroe Abram, took me under his wing and was pretty patient with a little kid that was too energetic but not smart enough to slow down and listen.
Right.
So he definitely kind of geared me and reared me in the right directions to where we started this transition. Graduated.
Well, hold on. You know what? I love the fact that you were a former, high school athlete. I probably played youth sports and everything. And you were able to convert that love into athletic training. Because many times you don't see that path. You don't see being able to stay engaged in sports even after your days of competition are somewhat over. You
Correct.
can still stay closer to it. So what made you say, you know what, let me stay in sports this way?
Stayed in sports that way. Like I said, I realized I wasn't going to make it to the NFL at 5'9", $145 in college. The odds of getting there are just not going. Right. So getting into the athletic training gave me that opportunity to just stay in it. Stay in it, because I had a big love for sports. I had begun a love for healthcare. So why not find an opportunity that meshed the two of those together?
Is there a favorite sport that you like, one versus the other?
Oh, football.
Football is a sport?
Hands down, football is a sport.
All right. Now you're at Bartlett now as the athletic trainer for over 15 years, right?
For over 15 years, correct.
Okay, so what is your biggest joy in those moments when you're working with those kids?
The biggest joy is actually to have a kid that's been injured and watch them come back through full rehab to finish their season.
Okay.
That's definitely one of the biggest joys, and to know that your student athletes become attached to you.
Really?
They're going to find their ways to come back 5, 6, 7, 10 years later to come remind you of some simple thing that you didn't think was major, but had a major influence on them later on in life.
Right. Have you had the opportunity to train any of your former players' children?
That is coming up this year. So this will be my first year that I'm getting one of my former student's son.
Wow.
So this will be a new experience to know that mom looks at me at the same light that the child looks at me.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. What role has Memphis played in your career? You know, what role has Memphis played in your career as also as you as a man?
Mm-hmm. Well, Memphis made me, Memphis raised me. So, I mean, everything about me is Memphis. So I'm fortunate to know that I have a community, I have a city that now my name's starting to stand out a little bit more. If you don't know me, you know a family member. And you know, Memphis is a large enough city, but small enough connection area.
Right.
So we're fortunate enough that enough people know me that I'm able to give back to those that gave to me, as well as find new people to build that bridge with as well.
You ever have any aspirations of being a college trainer, athletic sports trainer, anything like that?
No, I had that opportunity once before. During my collegiate years, I did some collegiate athletic training at the University of Arkansas with football and gymnastics and baseball. I've even done an NFL internship with the New Orleans Saints. So I've gotten the opportunity to see the big leagues. But the reality is a 17-hour workday is just not something I want to commit to.
Okay. So you kind of made a personal decision as to what you want out of life.
Absolutely.
That's important.
Absolutely.
Very important. Any regrets about your career? You know, anything like that?
No, not at all.
No regrets whatsoever.
No regrets whatsoever.
You should have done baseball, basketball.
No. I'm very happy at the high school setting because, like I said, we get a chance to interact with children so we can be an influence to them later.
Okay, all right. So, if you could talk to that kid, that guy, yourself, that was back in North Memphis, and really rap to him about life. What's something you might say to him?
One, take your time. Take your time. Everybody has a goal for you, but it's your goal that really matters. That's the first thing. Second, don't be afraid to be different. Don't be afraid to be different. Everybody wants you to follow the in crowd. It's the ones that stand out that are going to be remembered the most.
Now, is there a time when you can look back and think about a time that you stood out and you were different?
I mean, that's pretty much every day. A lot of my old running buddies, and I'll use the word running buddies loosely, I've seen them in years past, and they used to tell me, "You've changed. You're not who you used to be."
We should all change.
Absolutely. In more aspects than one, we should.
Right. Your career as a trainer, what is that like? How is that your day different from day to day, or is it pretty much, consistent?
You could flip that word in that statement and say it both ways. If you're talking about my day as an athletic trainer, the average day could go from 2 o'clock to the end of a sporting event for that day. So if we're talking about Friday night football, that could be a 10:30, 11 o'clock at night affair. If we're traveling to a team farther out of town, that could end up being a 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And then the nature of the sport. Basketball doesn't go as long as football. Soccer may have more events than track. So it's consistent.
But it's all the sports.
I'm covering all of the sports at Bartlett High School.
So you got 2 jobs.
In theory. You could say that. You could definitely say that.
Well, what's some of the things that are rewarding about people that you've had to work with? Because you've done a lot of teaching as well, right?
Correct.
So what kind of rewards do you get from teaching? Man, you're a busy man.
Yeah, from the educational aspect of it, you get rewarded to see your students go in and say, you know what, I think I want to be like you. And then I look at them and say, are you sure you want to do that? Are you ready to commit to hours and hours and hours of work? This is a selfless job, but it is one that is very rewarding because of the relationships you'll develop. The people you make friends with, the bonds you develop over years, never seem to go away, which is a blessing and a curse.
Why Bartlett High School?
Bartlett actually, when I first came back to Memphis, Bartlett was the school that was looking for an athletic trainer. With me working for Campbell Clinic, there was an agreement set up. and I found myself at Bartlett High School, and I hadn't left since.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, listen, I want you to look right at that camera.
All right.
You're going to be talking to some of those young men, the age of Bartlett kids, age, especially young African-American men or boys, high school age, middle school age. What would you say? What's an Averyism that you would leave them with?
All right, I like that. That's a good one. An Averyism. I will leave it to you starting off with a poem or near the end of a poem where it says, even hope may seem but futile when with troubles you're beset. But remember you are facing just what other men have met. You may fail but fall still fighting. Don't give up, whatever you do. Eyes front, head high to the finish, see it through. Do not allow anybody to stop you from the dreams you have, whether it be family, friends, whatever. There's got to be something that you want. Whatever it takes to get to it, I encourage you, I implore you, I beg you, I plead. Find your way to go reach your dream, because the only person that can get you there is yourself.
Wow. There's nothing else I can say behind that. Listen, Thaddeus Avery II, thank you for sharing your journey on the journey. I really appreciate it. Thank you for blessing all of our viewers, listeners, and followers, and really appreciate you taking the time with us today.
Absolutely.
Listen, come back. We're going to keep bringing the men of Memphis, Tennessee that really are making an impact across the board. White collar, blue collar, it doesn't matter. We have black men that are doing some amazing things around the city, and the journey's going to bring them to you. Listen, I'm Larry Robinson, for Mr. Thaddeus Avery II and the crew at KUDZUKIAN and The Journey. Talk to you next time. Take care. Thank you to our partners, the Delta Boule and Tennessee Valley Authority. To hear more incredible stories like this, be sure to download the KUDZUKIAN app from the App Store or Google Play. Or check out The Journey Memphis podcast on all your major podcast providers. Also, check us out on the KUDZUKIAN Network.